We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. It don't even matter. Danny Swift Garcia does a brand new interview with Fight Hype, and he says it doesn't even matter. Devin Haney was destined to lose to Ryan Garcia. We got to talk about it. Now, I know y'all didn't want me to be right, but save that thought. We'll get straight to it. There's a brand new interview with Danny Garcia, and he says, in his opinion, it didn't even matter. Like, it didn't matter about the Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia fight. The outcome was what it was always going to be, in his words. So he doesn't sound like he believes the Osterine was really the culprit, right? And it's funny because Danny Garcia actually fought someone who failed a test right before the fight. They caught it, like literally like a day or two before the fight, and he still fought him and he still got a knockout. That was against Eric Morales, who tested for clenbuterol. And I even referenced this when we were talking about the situation with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. So you have yet another pro fighter who believes that what happened was not like this big shocker or anything like that. He says that, Danny says that Ryan Garcia knew he could beat him because he beat him in the amateurs, and Devin basically underestimated Ryan Garcia. He's seen the work from Tank. He's seen how Ryan quit in the Tank fight. So all in all, I think Devin and his team underestimated Ryan Garcia, thought it was going to be some easy work, and they were really riding high off of Tank's victory, thinking that it was sweet with Ryan Garcia. So Danny Garcia believes that what happened was due course. And I tell you, there's PEDs is cheating. Cheaters need to be punished. No problem with that. So we'll see what the outcome is for Ryan Garcia in terms of punishment. But Danny says it don't matter. And it's hard to subtract things that actually occurred. But I tell you, we already seen what we seen in the fight with Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. Whether you want to say it's unfortunate, you want to cry over spilled milk, it is what it is. And I live that life. I live a life of what really happened as opposed to what I wanted to happen or what should have happened. You got to deal with the realities of life. Like, if somebody door dinged you and scraped up your brand new car, that's a reality at that point. So you can't say, oh, I wish I didn't park here. I mean, you could do it, but it doesn't change the mars and the dinks and the dent or whatever the person caused, the damage, cosmetic damage to your new whip. So you still have to handle it. You have to decide, go through your insurance or get it fixed or leave it. You got to decide that. So that's what I deal with on my channel. Reality, not what you want to hear. I tell you what you need to hear. So, that might be a little bit controversial, but it is what it is. You can't unsee what you've seen, and that's the downside for where Devin Haney is in his career. Like, last time I checked, he was still suspended by the commission. The fight already happened. Unfortunately for you, we seen what we seen. So I get it that Devin Haney and his team, they are trying to, Ryan cheated, this was an unfair fight. But especially regarding casuals, you got to look at the casual element, because with the casual element, it's like this. Some of the casuals don't even watch boxing routinely, so they're not going to get the memo. They like, if you just dabble with boxing, you sometimes support or watch a major fight like Mayweather versus Pacquiao, Mayweather, Conor McGregor. These people who are casuals, they opine, jump in, give their 2 cents of the matter, and they kind of dip out. So they don't necessarily follow my channel or follow all boxing news. So they're going to miss a lot of tidbits with this Ryan Garcia, like some of this aftermath stuff about Ryan Garcia, the Osterine. That was big news, so they might have heard of that. But I'm talking about the minute details of the matter, where it's like Ryan said this on Twitter, Victor Conti said this on Twitter. They're not gonna, a lot of that stuff is gonna be missed because they're not a casual, is not gonna be as invested in. So people seen the Devin Haney, like, put it this way, I would even venture out to say there are people who have watched Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, or at least highlights, that don't know any details of this positive test or even Osterine. Some people don't even know that this exists. They know what they watch, they've seen the highlights, or they watched the fight and they're like, man, this guy won, this guy lost. So for reputation's sake, this matters. For diehard boxing fans, you can make whatever argument because they'll be more informed. So I agree with Danny Garcia. I've been saying the same thing. The fight is what it is. Now it's a he said, she said. Ryan saying he didn't knowingly ingest something, and Devin Haney's side is arguing the counter. You did do this on purpose. You're a cheater. The only way you beat my son, you know, Bill Haney is gonna say, is because you cheated. And the commission has to figure out the rest, and the public has to decide who they believe in. But it is what it is. Other thing that Danny Garcia discussed in this interview was Danny Garcia talked about the back end money. And surprising to some, he said Oscar is in the right and this is how it goes. So it shows, and there's other people who have attested to this. He said you can ask any fighter who's been in this position with the pay-per-view. He said a lot of times what happens, you don't necessarily get your money in 30 days or 60 days. He says it could take a year or two. He says for his fight with Errol Spence Jr., he said that pay-per-view, he didn't get fully paid until a year and a half later. He said, so you're not going to just instantaneously get the final payment. And I understand, because I make money outside of the YouTube channel with affiliate marketing. So I got a bunch of affiliate brands and it's similar. So basically, like, let's say, because I got one with Disney. So I got a Disney affiliate partnership and affiliate marketing that I do. The thing with the Disney is, if I sell a UFC fight, let's say Conor McGregor versus Chandler, and people use my link, buy it, it does go to help the channel and they get the fight at no additional cost to them. But the money's pretty much in the holding. I can see how much I made, but they put the money in the holding because they have to make sure everything basically pans out. So it's very similar to what Danny Garcia was saying in this interview, is the money, your money is basically being held up. And then once they collect all the monies, because you got things like chargebacks where people ordered the fight and then they complain to the cable company and they say, oh, the picture went out rounds 2 through 5, so I missed half the fight, I want my money back, right? So if you have a chargeback, or any kind of person that, like, let's say someone paid for it, watched the fight, had no technical difficulties, but then they're broke and they refuse to pay their bill, then there was no money received for it, you know, and then they have to possibly go through collections through payperview.com or whatever. So there are little things that influence when you get paid. Danny Garcia, what he said made a lot of sense to me. He was saying basically it could take a year and a half to get your full pay, and they could divvy it up into quarterly payments. That's pretty much what Oscar De La Hoya said in his post in the Golden Boy release, the press release that they put out, is like they've been paid all monies that they're owed per their contract, and they need to spend more time looking at their contract as opposed to being on social media and being on Twitter. So it also shows you the potential novice that Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia are when it comes to this pay-per-view stuff. Because if Devin has had probably 3 pay-per-views, Ryan has had 2. So Devin, Lomachenko, Prograis, and Ryan Garcia. Ryan had the one with Tank Davis and now Devin Haney. But here's the difference. Ryan probably likes the money he made with Gervonta Davis And since it did over millions, he probably got a lot of payment up front because a lot of that money, that was a real fight that really sold. You get what I'm saying? That was a real fight that really sold. So a lot of the money probably cleared early because just think about it. If you did over 1 million pay-per-view buys, a lot of that money is like legit, authentic payments. People really sought out that fight to order that fight, and people really purchased the fight because they wanted to see it, and it was the biggest fight of 2023. You dig? So with that being said, Ryan was probably very happy with his purse because he got a guaranteed money, whatever that was agreed, and that could have been better. And then on top of the guaranteed money, you have more money to draw from, and if that money cleared, then Ryan made out a lot, and then he'll maybe get some additional residual checks if, you know, more money cleared or whatever. That's how it works. But then this fight, which I told you guys the tickets weren't selling and it wasn't as big as you guys were making it out to be, right? Now this makes sense, because if the fight was a failure and it wasn't as financially strong, I'll say, wasn't as financially strong as you thought it was going to be, then now you're stuck with your front end money, and now you're like, hold on, where's my back end? Because if you're front end money, because the host in this interview with Danny Garcia, he shot it at like 10 million. He said like, oh, they probably made double digits, like 10 million a piece. Danny Garcia was like, I don't know about that. He said it might have been like 2-3 million guaranteed, and then you're supposed to get the rest on your back end. He said, I can't confirm that. Danny Garcia says, I can't confirm that. You got to ask Eddie Hearn and the people involved, but it likely wasn't 10 million a pop, because that's 20 million up front. And you got fights with like Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford for undisputed, and this was a fight that was thought to be colossal, respected welterweights and stuff. I don't even know how much they made on the front end, but they also got the pay-per-view. So we're talking, and that was for all the marbles. So it does depend on what Golden Boy and everybody involved agreed to. But I told you guys from the beginning, this is why you don't force anything in the world of boxing. Bill Haney tried to force Devin Haney as a legitimate pay-per-view guy prematurely. Maybe he could have got there, but you got to do some building, and you got to continue to do the right things until you get to the spot where the public accepts you as a face of boxing. You can't just talk about it. You can't just say Devin Haney is his era and Devin Haney's the face of boxing, not Gervonta Davis. The Floyd Mayweather era and the Tank era is over, but that's not true, because Tank's fighting tomorrow and everybody's juiced for the fight, and it's a way bigger card with David Benavidez and Gary Antoine Russell than Haney versus Garcia was. So on my channel, I keep it real with you. And on my channel, I don't care if it's popular what I'm saying. I don't care if you like it, if you love it, if you hate it. I'm here to tell the truth and do my job. And that's the reality of it. There's a lot of Haneyacks and a lot of the Haney Garcia clan that put out all this information that was wishful thinking. They wanted this to be the case. They wanted Devin Haney to right now be the it guy. But again, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. You can't just make someone the it guy because you said it. The public has to accept and embrace them. Like the public embraced Muhammad Ali. He was the people's champ. He's the greatest. Like the people, he said it, but then the people actually believed it. With Devin Haney, it was more so we're pushing this hard line that Devin Haney's time is right now, and right now he's the face of boxing. So what Danny Garcia is saying regarding the money makes a whole lot of sense if you know what you're looking at. Danny Garcia is telling you how the game works. Like, you're not just going to get your money on the back end straight away. Again, as I mentioned early, it won't matter as much the more successful your fight is, because you have a bigger pool of money to draw from. So let's say Floyd Mayweather and Canelo. That fight did 2.4 million pay-per-view homes. So that's not it. There's no way it's 2+ million people that are all fraudulent chargebacks. So when you have a bigger pool of money to deal with, of course, the fighters definitely aren't going to complain because they have a legitimate sellable product that did great numbers and hit a certain threshold. So you're going to get your money a lot quicker because there's no way 2 million plus people all use fake credit cards or were kids who illegally used their parents' credit card to order the Haney Garcia fight, or various things that would happen with technical difficulties where people got refunded or chargebacks and things like that. So to me, this stipulates if Ryan and Devin are, now that we have both sides, it stipulates that the fight didn't do as good as people probably hoped, which is why they're talking about, hey, where's the rest of my money? Where's the rest of my money? Because you're looking for monies that the fight probably didn't earn, right? So you're stuck with your front end. That's why you got to negotiate, and you have to also contend with piracy and the people illegally streaming fights. Ryan was acting so crazy. How many people probably illegally streamed the fight as opposed to buying it because they were unsure if Ryan was even taking it serious? Yeah, the outcome was what it was, but so many people believed that Ryan wouldn't show up, or Ryan was drinking beer and being undisciplined. So there's a lot of people, and Ryan also attracts a young crowd who they know how to use technology and computers and stuff like that, which is why I told you this fight was a disaster from the beginning. And now maybe you guys will start listening to